She really loved it. I tell people, somebody who's fully disabled, who's never been able to do uh, do tasks, here she was. She's able to put meat on the table, meat in the freezer.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Fair Chase podcast. We are continuing our listener story series, which has been really fun and just great to meet different people from all over the place and hear about the kinds of hunting that they do and hear their great hunting stories. So today we've got another one. We have Mike Burnside on the line. Mike, welcome to the Fair Chase podcast.
Thanks, James. Glad to be here.
Yeah, excellent. So, Mike, tell me where you're from. Tell me what you do. Give us a little background of who you are.
Mike Burnside. I live in northeast Oklahoma, north of Tulsa, Oklahoma, close to the Kansas line. Lived here. Well, the majority of my life has been in Oklahoma. Lived different places, but we've been here. I raised my kids here. Sad to say I've raised my kids here. It doesn't seem like I'm that old, but it's happened. And
That is awesome. How long have you been hunting?
oh gosh, I started out as in those times when I was about 5 years old. Realistically, about 55 years. We lived far out in the country, and my dad would give, we had a 22, and he would give my brother and I a box of 22 shells, and I could always remember 49 cents bought a box of 22 shells. But, with that, you were expected to bring something back with each 22 shell. There was no, I'm not just going out planking. You're either bringing back bullfrogs, rabbits, squirrels, something like that. So all my life,
You get something to show for it, for spending that money on those bullets.
oh yeah,
How many? How big of a box are you talking for 49 cents?
yeah, the 50 box of 50.
That's not bad.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's when you think of now how much they are for a brick. For a brick, I'd have to run the numbers, but yeah, a brick was back then it was a lot of money, but in today's standards, it's like, my gosh, you can't even fathom that.
Right. Like I said, you're one of the winners of our hunting story giveaway. And so, you've sent in a really unique and kind of a cool story. So, why don't you dive right into it? Tell me a little background of how it went, and yeah, go from there.
My wife and I had triplets in 1990. I'm sorry, get all confused here. Yeah, 1995. We had triplet, 2 boys and 1 girl. We lost one son. Hunter passed away after 5 days. And we call them surviving twin, or, they're surviving triplets, but they're twins. Thor, we have Thor, our son, and then Kinsey, our daughter. And they were born here in Oklahoma. And my son and I, as he was growing up, we were whitetail hunting, we were turkey hunting, doing all those things. And never occurred to me, Kinsey has cerebral palsy. She's always been confined to a wheelchair. She's had multiple surgeries, hip rods in her back, multiple hip surgeries, spinal surgery, and she was involved in all sorts of things in high school or school. The schools were really good about including in regular classes, this and that. But as I was taking my son hunting, never occurred to me that it's even possible to take her hunting. She loved to fish. I helped her fish. We'd go to farm ponds. When she was young, we went as a family to Alaska. We fished on the Kenai River. I helped her, catch fish there. And it wasn't until when she was in the she was 15 years old, and we were at a Rocky Mountain elk banquet, and she won a youth pump shotgun. And the committee members said, "Hey, she wants to go turkey hunting. We'll be happy to help her." Well, we didn't go that next year because she had a surgery. I mean, we didn't go till the next year because she had a surgery that spring. But we went, and at that time, I didn't know anything about it. I was about like any person, how to even start hunting with somebody that has a disability. Well, the next year we did hand over hand where she, I aimed, her arm was over mine, everything, and she got a gobbler. So she had that. Then when she graduated high school, we heard about a foundation that would be happy to take Kinsey hunting. And I told her, okay, if it doesn't work out this year, because we were late into the summer, if they can't get somebody lined up quick enough, which I knew it was going to be hard to get somebody lined up to make all sort of things happen. I said, we'll go hunting on our property. We live on 80 acres and we have, good number of whitetail deer. So we went out and hunted in a blind. I took her, we call it a portable wheelchair. And it's around 70, 80 pounds. And I would take her out there and we hunted probably 4 or 5 days. And finally, and she told me, hey, this is it, Dad. This is the last evening I'm going to hunt. And I was like, okay. I didn't want to push her, first time.
Right.
And sure enough, here comes a small buck, coming through the area. And she helped me. We did hand over hand because at that time I didn't help anything for her to physically fire herself. So she got that small buck and she was overjoyed. That was the greatest thing ever. And so that next year we went on a hunt. They used it's called a vacuum air actuator. When she's got a vacuum tube, when she sucks on this tube, it's connected to a 12-volt battery. From the battery, the cables go to a trigger guard on a crossbow, shotgun, rifle. And that's when she sucks, it's instantaneous. It pushes, I can best describe it. It looks like a small shock absorber. Push it against the trigger, fires automatically. And we found out about that. And I was like, well, didn't even have an idea that this stuff existed. So
OnX is the title sponsor of our podcast here at the Fair Chase, and it's a must-have app for all of us who love to explore the outdoors. Whether you're hunting or hiking or fly fishing, OnX gives you detailed, accurate maps right at your fingertips. With property boundaries, topographical features, and trail data, you'll always know where you are and where you're headed. You'll also likely be able to figure out where that big buck is headed to. Plus, their offline maps mean you're covered even in the most remote locations. OnX is the ultimate tool for outdoor navigation, making every adventure safer and more enjoyable. Download OnX today and explore with confidence.
We went ahead that fall. I bought one for ourselves, for her to use on hunts. And so she started hunting from there. She really loved it. I tell people, somebody who's fully disabled, who's never been able to do tasks, here she was, she's able to put meat on the table, meat in the freezer, excess deer we'll kill. We have no problem killing excess deer. So we'll donate. Our food pantry is great. They take venison. Yeah. So we get it processed. She loves to go down there, be a part of donating that. It gives her self-worth something else. And she has hunted all over. She's killed antelope in Colorado. She killed one in Nevada this year. She's killed mule deer in Wyoming. She's killed elk. She killed an alligator in Louisiana. Turkeys in Oklahoma, Texas. Trying to think what else. I mean, she just, that aspect, I think she just really loves being able to feel like she's helping do something. And that's kind of taken up my time. My hunting per se is, my son will go do some, but she keeps me so busy that that becomes my hunt. This fall, like I said, she's done the antelope hunt in Nevada. She had a crossbow hunt for a whitetail deer. It's in another town here. They had a disability hunt for 2 disabled hunters for whitetail, and we used a crossbow, and she got a doe. It was here 2 or 3 weekends ago. It was a 2-day hunt, and so she got a doe. So yeah, she keeps me awfully busy doing that stuff.
That is incredible. And what a wonderful thing technology can be sometimes to allow you to do something that, not that long ago would have been, fairly unheard of.
Oh yeah.
Take me back to that first hunt, going into it. How were you feeling? You had to be a little nervous about that.
Oh yeah. I was real nervous. I was like, because as a dad, you're wanting to be successful. You're wanting to pull this off. But then you look at the how am I going to pull it off? I mean, I'm going into uncharted waters. Somebody who didn't have disabilities, I'd have no problem. But now I'm hearing something I have no clue how to do it. Um,
Right.
yeah, it was, and then like I said, I didn't want to burn her out. This is her first experience going on and just as an adult, as we've loved doing this stuff, we're like, oh yeah, we'll stay out there as long as we need to be, chase that buck, chase that elk, whatever it is. But yeah, as our children are growing up, you don't want to burn them out. And here she is, as an adult, early onset hunter, adult hunter, let me put it that way. She is having to learn all this stuff. It's something she doesn't know anything about either.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so fun. And so you guys have had like a pretty, I mean, that's like teamwork between the two of you, right? You've had to develop quite a bit of that, I would think, to figure this all out in the moment, especially when it's stressful.
Oh yeah, and actually, there's actually three of us involved in the team because while I will aim the rifle or crossbow or shotgun, in our team, I will whisper good when I'm on target. I whisper good. That means okay, you take over. Well, mom is actually, she's there also. She's helping Kinsey with the vacuum tube. So it adds a whole new level. You got three people trying to pull this off. And I won't say we haven't had our issues with technology. We've been, a whisper good, something's not happening, a cable has come disconnected, it's come off the battery. Uh, it moves, the mount on the trigger guard moves, and it's got to be precise. And so it's not making full contact with the trigger. And so yeah, it's got its challenges. Technology, where most of us are, the night before your hunt, you're going through your clothes, going through your gear, this and that. Well, night before any hunt I'm checking connections. I'm making sure things tighten, everything's functional in the technology because that's what drives it all. And
Yeah.
depending on the hunt, if we've got time where we can set up, I have a Tactacam that I set up on a scope. And, when somebody first approached me about using the Tactacam, I was like, well, I'm not that, not that excited about filming our hunts, filming the shot. He goes, oh no, it's actually it's basically its own Wi-Fi router. You can stream whatever you're looking at, you can stream to her. And then the light bulb went off. So I'll have that Tactacam and we'll have a tablet set up in front of her, a flexible arm on her wheelchair where, if it opened up a whole new world. If you got a coyote 150 yards out there, or you've got raccoons going through the forest, she's never been able to track or follow that stuff. Well, I can follow those, and she's been able to watch it right there on the screen. And
Yeah.
she gets buck fever just like the rest of us. Every hunt is buck fever, because when we practice, okay, I'll say, okay, I'm good. Boy, she'll suck on that tube. It's automatic. Well, then when it comes time, especially just like the rest of us, if she has time to think about it, we've learned you don't say, okay, here comes a shooter or anything like that, because the longer she has to think about it, the more problems it causes. And when I whisper good, she'll be blowing as hard as she can, and it will not fire. Unless she sucks on that tube, it will not fire.
Quick shout out to another amazing sponsor of ours, Kifaru International. If you're like us and love hunting in some of the toughest places, you know how crucial having the right gear is. Kifaru makes some of the toughest, most reliable backpacks and tents out there, and it's all made right here in America. Whether you're hunting in the backcountry or headed to your favorite deer stand, Kifaru has you covered. Keep your eyes out this year, especially as they're launching a ton of amazing new products like the new Arc frame that just came out. So next time you gear up for an adventure, make sure to check out Kifaru International.
So
Interesting. Right.
So yeah, I said I will film her reaction because that's usually the best part of the hunt. I have a little camera, I'll just let it run. Well, we've had one hunt that when I whispered good, I counted from the time I whispered good till the time she finally fired was 8 seconds. And you can imagine being the person who has to be on target. once I whisper good, I got to zone everything out. I can't worry about what they're doing. I've got to just stay on target, whether it's working or not. Because I never know when the gun's going off. It's a surprise to me when the gun goes off.
That's got to be crazy just to be surprised by like aiming a gun and not entirely knowing when it's going to be fired, you know?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's and you're on target, but all of a sudden, it goes off, gun jumps, and you're like, did it even hit? I have no idea. I did see, I wasn't ready, wasn't prepared for it going off right then. So yeah, it adds a whole new challenge.
Yeah, I believe it. And you mentioned this that sometimes things don't work when you're out there. So then you're scrambling to try to reconnect and stuff while there's game out in front of you. It sounds like.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we will have well, our antelope hunt in Nevada this year. I whispered good. Okay, let's and this antelope, and you've got to have willing and you got to have willing animals. Let me put it that way. We've got a buck out there at 150 yards, and I'm on target. I whispered good. Well, nothing's happening, and right away I can tell kind of if it's clicking, this or well, I can kind of right away kind of come up with okay, this is wrong. Well, I told my wife, hey, the battery's disconnected. So she's like, oh yeah. So she puts the battery back on the terminal. We go through it again. I get on target, and we've had that. And then there's been times where the same thing. I'm on target, and something else is there's some other issue. This spring on a turkey hunt, we shot the shotgun. Everything has worked perfect. And the next morning we're gonna go turkey hunting, and it was maybe a 5/8 of a mile drive to where we were sleeping. They had a place where turkeys were coming through. We got set up, and well, here comes a gobbler, sure enough. And well, on that one, I was actually helping Kinsey. My wife wasn't there, and there was a woman that was aiming the shotgun. Well, as soon as she said good, we tried firing. Well, it's clicking, and I was like, and just that 5/8 of a mile drive, in the case, it had vibrated enough where that trigger guard mount had moved around, so it wasn't making contact. So I had her, she eased the gun back to me. We're in a ground blind, and I tightened. You had Allen wrenches, tightened it back up, and of course he left, and there's another one came by, 10, 15 minutes later that she was able to shoot. So yeah, it makes you have to think on your toes, and it's one of those things after you've done enough times, you run through problems. We're going to run through some sort of problem. I am one out of at least every 4 hunts, it seems like.
Uh, so from the time you decided to do this and got kind of her set up, and how long did it take before you actually killed something? Like, well, was it a long time or?
No, I'll tell you, actually, she's been fortunate. I mean, uh, very, I'd say the most is probably deer. Whitetail deer has been our biggest challenge. Where we've had some that weren't successful, but every other hunt, it's really, it's been real successful. One of her early on hunts, I will say, it was a mule deer hunt in Wyoming. And now it was one of those, 3 days. We had 3 days to hunt, and it took the very last afternoon that we'd seen everything else. We'd seen antelope, we'd seen mule deer, no, we'd seen elk, antelope, whitetail deer, but we hadn't found a mature mule deer buck. But that last afternoon, and we'd been through blizzard. They'd had blizzard warnings. We're in ground blind, everything. That last afternoon, she found a mule deer, and it was one of those things. As a dad, we had seen some huge whitetails. I mean, ones that just made me, hey, you need to get that whitetail. Was funny that we'd seen them on this one field. We'd set that ground blind up, and I told her, I say, okay, Kinsey, here's the deal. There's a small mule deer, small 4x4 mule deer out here, and I said, we can either go after him or we can go back this evening to that field and hopefully you can kill a big whitetail buck. And, I will say she stood by her guns, and she wanted to go. That was the first animal she wanted to kill was a mule deer. And she said, no, I want to kill that mule deer. I was like, okay, that's it. And so, yeah, I would say, 3 days is the longest we've had to go, usually, 2 days, um, yeah, around maybe, 2 to 3 days. That's our work. 3 days is the longest, but we usually 2 days will take care. It has been I'd say the average on most of the hunts.
Okay. Yeah, that's not bad. Okay. How about staying warm? Is it hard to stay warm out there? Your trophy photos are buried in your phone, and the details from your best hunts are already getting fuzzy. Trophium fixes that. It's the app built specifically for hunters and anglers to document every detail: location, weather, gear, and the full story, preserving your memories and allowing you to share them with your crew in private groups. Download Trophium today wherever you get your apps or at trophium.co.
She's got extremely high pain tolerance. If you're cold, I guarantee you, she's cold, but she usually won't say it. She didn't, early on, when we'd come in to end the hunt and we're taking all our hunting clothes off and everything, because we have to dress her, undress her, you take off everything and her feet would be absolutely like ice cubes. I mean, it's just, it would be unbearable in mirror your eyes. And she just, he said, why didn't you say something? And so we've had to be ingenuitive. We've got the heated vest for
Yeah.
we will heated socks, stuff like that, and we will really bundle her up because she just won't say, hey, I'm cold. If she says she's cold, it's serious.
Sheesh. Oh man. Well, I mean, so uh, this has got to be an interesting thing for you as a father. Tell me about what this has been like for your relationship with her, and just kind of what it's taught you about being a dad.
It's yeah, we have a great relationship. I mean, it's she loves to fish and hunt, and and I will take her fishing. Thankfully, we've got two ponds on our 80 acres. Her and I will go fishing a lot. And she will talk trash. She's competitive, and I have to help her do everything there is, from casting the rod, when she's reeling it in. I have to help her reel it. I grab her hand, she helps me reel it in. But we may catch 7 bass that day, and she'll tell me, say, I caught 6 bass and you caught one. I mean, she will always somehow, she always makes sure that she has more than I do.
I
But,
like that.
it's really been a great, it really strengthened, our relationship. We have so much more in common. As a dad, you always, of course, you always think, well, yeah, I'm going to have my son, my daughter is going to be able to do this and this and this. And then when it isn't, we say there's a grieving process. You're not only grieving their lost dreams, but your lost dreams, what they're going to do. Well, then when you see something like this and the way she can accomplish it, what it's done for her, and it's really, it makes you so proud that,
Yeah.
of course, hey, you're able to help her pull this off, but just to see the impact it's made on her self-worth, doing those things that nobody, 10, 15 years ago, honestly, who would ever thought these things were possible?
Wild. Yeah. And I mean, for maybe parents who are who have kids with disabilities and are kind of going through that right now. I mean, what would you tell them? What advice would you have for them?
You know, man, uh, just be prepared, to, look for those things, those aspects, the Google, Google becomes your friend, you know, uh, Googling disabled hunting or, uh, disabled hunting foundations, stuff like that. It's surprising there's more people out there that want to help do these things. Once you start looking, I mean, it's a snowball. There's a lot of them out there. And, there's, in the hunting community, you'll find out that, there's so many that, because, I'll be honest, I probably got to that age that, okay, I've hunted all over, I've killed this and that, where did I go from here? What's my next, I'm not going after a world record. I'm not going after Pope and Young,
Hunters, listen up. Latitude Outdoors builds gear for the mobile hunter. Their saddle hunting systems are designed to cut weight, not performance, so you can cover more ground and set up fast, wherever the hunt takes you. From dense hardwoods to open ridges, their mobile-focused gear keeps you efficient and adaptable. Check out their full range at latitudeoutdoors.com. If you had advice for parents that have kids with disabilities and especially hunting families, what advice would you have for them?
Google's your friend. The search bar, Facebook, Disabled Hunting Foundation, things like that. There's many out there, that every state, I would say about every state has them. Then there's organizations that, handle nationwide. And if you find somebody that's doing it, message them, say, hey, how do you do this? I have people all the time, where do you find that equipment? Stuff like that. And, you'll find that it's a small group, but once you get into it, there's a wealth of information out there. People are happy to share,
Yeah,
so yeah.
it's amazing the resources just the internet kind of provide. The fact that you can connect with other people who are going through the same thing, and yeah, Facebook and all that stuff. It's really cool.
Oh yeah. 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 It's, I was just going to say, that, I was just like any other parent. I had no clue. And, I found that one foundation from there. It opened my eyes that, hey, if there's this foundation out there, I just started searching, and, it's a network that, you'll be able to find all sorts of people to help you. And then when you find those adaptive equipment groups, they will tell you resources, so it's just go down that rabbit hole and, keep on chasing it.
Yeah, man. Well, so what hunts do you both have planned for the rest of this year? Anything else? It's November 4 when we're recording this, so there's some season left.
Yeah, she got drawn for an Oklahoma Wildlife Department hunt. It's actually not this weekend, but the next weekend. It's a rifle hunt for whitetail, and it's she can kill a buck and a doe. So we had that hunt. So her mom and I will be going on that, and then we will hunt the regular. We've been crossbow hunting, at our house. We haven't had success yet, but we're still doing that. And she'll have firearms there. And there's still some possibilities. We might do, I'm looking at Florida after the first of the year for a whitetail hog hunt. So it's always, there's always, it's a, how to explain it, people see her success and they see her excitement and they're like, hey, we want her to come hunting here. So it just continues. So they love to, they're like, hey, we'd love to host her, because there's those groups are looking for, disabled youth, disabled adults to be able to take on hunts.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. And you guys have an amazing story and are doing great, cool things and just kind of inspirational. So, man, Mike, thank you for coming on and sharing your story with Kinsey and everything that you guys have figured out and gotten to do together. What an amazing thing. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks a lot, James, for letting me tell it.